This is the Veteran Growth Podcast, an audio experience designed to help you create a sustainable, wealthy, and healthy lifestyle after the military. For Army veteran and host Kyle Hartman, the goal is simple: never stop learning or growing. Whether you are recovering, transitioning, starting a business, or just want to grow mentally and spiritually, we have you covered. Together, this community can accomplish anything. We've already proven it. You can find more at www.veterangrowthpodcast.com. Please enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Veteran Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hartman. I'm very excited today. We have our very first guest on this show, my friend and brother, Paul Alkoby. Paul, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to be on.
So Paul's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I think you're there now, but you were just in Toronto, if I'm correct, right? You're in Canada? Vancouver. Oh, okay, there we go.
I was up in Vancouver and then went from there to Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah. So you see, he's been on the road. Paul's an Air Force veteran. He did some time with AVSOC, the Air Force Special Operations Command. He's done some pretty phenomenal things. Transitioning out of the military, I think Paul and I are right at the same timeline of both being out for about 2 years now. Paul got out of the military in 2016, I believe. He's doing a whole slew of things. He is into the CrossFit world. He does what I like to call the 3 C's: consulting, CrossFit, and content. Paul, why don't you take us back and tell us a little bit about your experience with the military and some of your experience with your transition out of the military.
Yeah, so I joined in 2012, started the whole process back in 2011, went into a soft selection process, and then ended up actually becoming a medic because, well, we all know how that stuff goes. And ended up with the Army. So my first duty station, I ended up just hanging out in launch school, Germany, with the Army for a couple years. Then my follow-on was at AVSOC. So from there, basically decided, hey, it's time to get out and figure what I want to do out, and got out in 2016.
Now, when you were getting out, did you know what you wanted to do? Did you have, ideas? Were you making plans for your future in the civilian world? How did that go for you, transitioning from the military to where you are now? Was there a big process there? Was there a lot of trial and error? Did you have, certain hardships getting out?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. I had a whole plan kind of lined up in terms of contract work. Unfortunately, when I got out, the Air Force kind of botched my DD-214. So I got out and basically had no record of ever even being in the military. I had no access to my benefits. Really nothing that I could do. And I was fortunate that there was a published article on me, because that was like my proof of service essentially for getting hired at a local defense contractor. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty rough getting out. I had a whole plan and kind of had to reevaluate that and live off of my savings until I could get employed.
Wow. And that went for about a year. Well, I mean, I noticed, it's funny that you said that, because I actually saw on a veteran support page on Facebook, I go into there a lot just to see if there's anybody I can help, or if there's anybody that I can assist through my struggles. And it's funny because you popped up back in 2017 looking for any sort of help regarding that issue. And I was actually going to mention that, if you didn't, just to kind of, throw you off a little bit that I knew that. But that's funny. So you were in any form of, you were in IRR going through that process as well?
Yeah, so I mean, I was basically put right into IRR, but I never had a DD-214. So everything was processed without, really no legitimacy.
And that had to be tough, because for anybody that's not in a veteran, or if they don't know how it works, a DD-214 is basically your proof that you were in the military. So when you get out and you want to pursue other careers, and you say you had just been in the military, if you don't have a DD-214, it can be very, very difficult to, find work, let alone be able to handle anything with your health benefits or anything. So what things did you go through? I mean, did you encounter sort of like a slump, or were you ever sort of at a low point after you got out, dealing with all this stuff on the side? I mean, how did you persevere and, get to where you are today, where from what I see, you're sort of a legend in the CrossFit world. You've competed, you're branded, you're sponsored by a ton of amazing companies. So how did that all transition for you?
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't call myself a legend. Fortunate that, I've done some cool stuff, and I've really just aligned myself with really good people, right? But, yeah, I mean, I've definitely had some low points. Like, I wouldn't say I'm at the highest or where I'd like to be right now. But, I kind of fell back on kind of that ideology that, shit kind of gets rough. I mean, that we can't get better if we haven't gone through some type of rough patch. And I knew in all of that, even though I was burning through every dollar I had to my name, and, I'm fighting with the congressman's office to get my EP-2 fighting with, the Air Force Personnel Center, and just wasn't really where I wanted to be. I knew that that was going to pass. So it was really just about kind of to be able to keep moving forward rather than sit there and sulk and kind of let my circumstances control me.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of just stand up and control that and work any way I could. And unfortunately, I kind of had a lapse in employment. I had some stuff happen with that defense contractor to where I found myself out on my ass with no money.
Yeah.
So I had to make some moves there, and I'm really fortunate that I had people that had faith in me and supported me, and I'm able to work for them and help them grow their brands now, which is awesome.
And a lot of those folks are fellow veterans as well, I believe. Not all of them, but so it seems like you have a pretty good team built around you, like you said, a good support system. And I think that's something that's so important when you're going through things, no matter who you are, anything in life. If you don't have somebody, at least somebody supporting you and what you should be doing, it can be very hard. It can get very lonely. And so, yeah, I want to get into more of, let's talk about Palco Visual. I want to talk about, you mentioned you work directly with the Resiliency Project, and that's something that I haven't looked a lot into, so I'm very curious to know more about that. So let's talk a little bit about that. Where did Palco Visual come from, and, what is the business?
All right, so this is kind of a crazy story. There's some highs and lows in it. Like I said, I was working for a defense contractor, and they were pretty much non-existent on social media. So I was like, hey, I know a thing or two about social media. Let me help you guys grow. And I helped them generate a good amount of profit. Fortunately, there were some issues with payment. That's really all I'll say about it.
Yeah.
But I kind of had to go my separate ways in order to, feel good about myself, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I removed myself from that kind of toxic environment, and I had this camera that I bought because I knew I was going to be creating media for them. And I'm sitting there like, holy crap, I don't have any work right now. I'm kind of losing my mind. What am I going to do? And I was training every day. I just wasn't happy with the gym. I wasn't happy with a lot of things going on. And I basically picked up the camera one day and haven't put it down since. But I was really fortunate because a few people were like, hey, your photos and videos are pretty good. Like, would you be interested in helping us with some content? And it just kind of grew from there. So Palco Visual just kind of changed. My Instagram handle had been Palco 215, and I was like, you know what, like, I'm posting a ton of different content now, so I think it's time to kind of rebrand it and go somewhere else with it and see what happens. And yeah, it's kind of taken off. I don't really stick to that, hey, you have to post one specific niche or whatever on Instagram. I kind of just do whatever I want.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You should.
Yeah, I found it helps people. I used to have a blog. I used to have all these different outlets, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to consolidate it and see where it goes.
Right. So. Have something that you can call yours that you will always be working on, because if you're documenting and creating anyway, you might as well have it all sanctioned under something that, can build your brand for you. So what I want to understand, or what I want to get to, and I noticed you said that there were some issues. There was sort of a falling out. You left a toxic situation, and if I'm not mistaken, that sounds like the same time frame you were hurting for work. That was right around the same time frame you were struggling with other things with your DD-214. Maybe it was a little after. I'm not sure, but needless to say, you stuck through, you found some more clarity, which ended up becoming Palco Visual. You've helped others through the process despite even being down at times. So where did that all come from? Who got in your head? Who taught you those things? Was it the military training that you had? You know what I mean? Where did you keep that determination to continue on the journey you were heading, even though you had a couple hiccups? You know, business can be rough. So you had one of your first experiences went sour, but you learned to get away from that and to keep persisting on. So, like, where did all of that come from?
Yeah, I definitely think the military had a lot to do with it. Growing up, I kind of always had that kind of drive to be an entrepreneur, and my parents are both entrepreneurs, so I think
nice.
a lot of it stems from there. And I mean, when I grew up, I used to hustle sneakers back in the day. Like I was a DJ, and I would DJ at these like boutique shoe stores here, and I would get unreleased Nike Dunks or whatever, and I would flip them and sell them for like $50, $300 more.
I think that's how DJ Khaled found his sneaker dealer. It was like some teenager that did the same thing basically, but he had Instagram on his side when he was doing it.
Yeah, the internet was just kind of
It wasn't as big back then. Yeah, that's awesome though.
It was not as big. But yeah, so I think that had a lot to do with it as well. But yeah, I mean, I definitely learned a lot in the military, in terms of that. And
yeah,
I think a big part of who I am today is a lot of the patients I had. A lot of the men and women that I would get from downrange, a lot of the pediatric patients, and kind of realizing like, hey, there's a bigger picture to life. And, you got to treat everyone with respect, and you got to kind of have humility and really just be a good person.
Yeah.
Right? So I've learned that, removing myself from toxic situations is kind of crucial. And I also try not to put anyone in a toxic situation.
Yeah. And what if what if somebody's in a toxic situation and they don't necessarily have, or they might not think that they have the support system that some others might have. Some people might not have family that supports them like other people, or they might not have siblings or anybody out there that they think can pull them from that toxic situation. And I think for me, that's where that military training really hits home, is because you're in your own head, and it's you versus all these demons you might be fighting. And a lot of times for me personally, that was where I would take myself back to those moments in basic training or any sort of field exercise we were doing that was intense, and I just told myself, like, you can handle more shit than what you're going through right now. You've proven it. And, and that's one of the things that I really want to get across to a lot of veterans, because I see a lot of pain. I see a lot of trouble when veterans get out, and not always, but there's a lot still of transitional issues and finding that purpose when they get out. And I know for a lot of them, they don't have any sort of support going forward with what they think they might want to do. And I think that's why you and I are here. That's why this show is here. That's why I want to build my community around that, because I don't see enough of it, I don't think. So that's amazing.
So I have a kind of a long-winded response to this, so
okay.
You might have to bear with me for a second.
We got plenty of time, brother. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So I think we as veterans, right, we go through a lot in the military, whether the conventional, soft, whatever the case may be. I was just talking to another incredible human, and he's actually in the process of getting out. And he said one of the biggest stressors in the military isn't even deploying, or isn't even any of that stuff. It's just the daily stress and just the daily amount of bullshit that you get handed to you, right?
Right.
And then we get out, and we have all these core values, right? You think about it, like integrity and honor and all this stuff, and we get out and we expect other people to have that. We expect other people, we care about everyone else's problems, and we expect them to care about our problems, but at the end of the day, they don't, right? I've had clients that they tell me they can't pay me, or whatever the case may be, and they expect me to understand that, and I do, but they don't understand I have bills to pay, right?
Yep.
And we get out, and we let that happen, and we get into that suck, so to speak, right? We're okay with sucking. We're okay with dealing with bullshit.
Yeah.
And
because we're trained to.
Exactly, and then we take it until the point that we can't handle it anymore, and it blows up, right? It blows up in our faces.
Yeah.
And we all do it. We all do it.
Right.
I know so many people that they're just angry, right? They're just pissed off all the time, and it's because they've had shitty relationships, shitty jobs. Instead of taking and we do this to ourselves.
Oh yeah.
We get out and we let our like I said earlier, right? We let our circumstances control us, and it happens because we trust people. We expect them to have the same values that we have, and they don't. And there's nothing we can do to control that. All we can control is how we manage that.
Right. I love that you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we are able to manage and mitigate those stressors, then we can progress forward, right? So I found a few ways of doing that. There's like you said earlier. So that's a big part of Resiliency Project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their whole thing is physical and mental strength.
Okay.
And they help a ton of people with that, whether they've deployed or not. They don't discriminate. I know there's organizations out there that do discriminate based on like, oh, were you a soft dude? Were you deployed? Whatever. They help everyone. They don't give a shit.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's how it should be. Yeah.
And I love them for that. They've been around for a while. They've helped me tremendously, and they've helped quite a few of my friends tremendously. So I have nothing but love for them. But aside from that, align yourself with a mentor. If you want to be an entrepreneur, find an entrepreneur that's a veteran. You want to be a creator, find an entrepreneur or a creator that's a veteran, right? Like reach out to me, reach out to someone that like is doing it. And they're gonna understand your situation more than Joe Schmo who, went to college to do photography or whatever, right?
Right.
We have different circumstances. I don't care what anyone says, like I'm not the type of person that goes out there and says like, oh, I'm a veteran, give me this, or can I get that veteran discount? That's not me, and that'll never be me. And I don't expect people to understand or resonate with my experiences. But when I need to get input on something, I go to someone that's been through what I've been through.
Absolutely.
And I found that helps me a lot. Yeah, so like Resiliency Project, Troy, the founder, like he's a veteran. He was a corpsman in the Navy. So yeah, when we have talks, like he definitely resonates and understands me a bit more. But that being said, even reaching out outside of that circle can be helpful, right? I found an organization that a lot of people don't know about called the Soldiers Project. And I've been utilizing them recently just to kind of talk and kind of get some things out. And it's helped a lot, just in my own personal relationships and just my life. They provide free... Yeah.
I was just getting to that. I was going to ask, so is that sort of like a free service? What is that?
Yeah, so they're a nonprofit. They actually link up veterans with local therapists in your area.
Oh, okay.
For 3 sessions. It's like unlimited sessions too. It's not, they're not like, hey, 3 sessions and then you got to pay $150 or whatever.
I'm actually going to...
3 sessions for as long as you need.
I'm writing this down. So it's the Soldier Project?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I need to see a counselor. Not just because of all the things that I'm taking on in life. It's not because I'm severely depressed right now or anything, but I love having a counselor that you can trust, that you can call or go to, and you can just vent, and that there's not going to be any backlash from it, and it's perfect. So the Soldier Project.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I know they're post 9/11, and I'm not sure that anyone that's going to listen to this is, pre 9/11.
They might.
No offense to those old school cats. Like, I hope they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I knew of an organization for them. But yeah, I know the Soldiers Project is solely for like post 9/11 military members and families.
Okay.
From my understanding.
And we have plenty of resources for the guys that wouldn't make that cut too, so that won't be an issue.
Awesome. And yeah, like I think really just a lot of that stuff, like I said, is really just talking to other people and learning how to manage those stressors on your own. You can't blame other people.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You hit the nail on the head when you were saying that we're trained to just roll with the punches. We've always heard shit rolls downhill, and like you said, we'll let things build because we just accept what it is. We take it for what it is. And one of the things that I was gonna basically say to that, just to shorten it all up, was just not to expect shit from anybody, like you said. So.
Yep.
I'm glad that you touched on that. I was going to say being empathetic to the fact that being a veteran means you have a whole different sector of your life that you've experienced that a lot of people will never have or have the chance to experience. All of the things you've witnessed, all of the struggles you've been through, all of the training you've had, it sets you apart. And I think that if veterans can remind themselves of that, like you were talking about, and we can remain empathetic to the fact that nobody understands some of the things that we do, that's where, you know, it becomes a lot easier. You can also learn to sift through bullshit a lot easier once you start doing that too, because you'll resonate with the people that are being genuine, that are being true and good. They do have those core values, like you said. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And one of the things too, if you guys don't think he knows what he's talking about, this guy's sponsored by Nova 3 Labs, Alpha Brew Coffee, Alonzo Defense Group, Truist U, Myopucks. I mean, you're getting to travel for work. Like, I want to talk about how you learned about the power of Instagram, because you were telling veterans that are listening, you know, to reach out, get away from those toxic situations, meet other people that have their experiences. But honestly, I'm a little concerned that a lot of people don't know how easy it is to do that through certain social, you know, platforms. So how did you learn some of that stuff? What would you recommend for people that might be listening right now who might not know a damn thing about Instagram?
Yeah, so I mean, social media kind of has two different spectrums. It could be a really, really powerful tool to kind of network in both business and your personal life, or it can be completely toxic and a time-wasting
black
nuisance,
hole.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, there's all these like completely fucked up pages like dysfunctional veteran. Like, cool, you want to wear a dysfunctional veteran shirt and shame our community? That's on you. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to stop you from doing it, but don't bitch about the fact that you don't have a job and, you know, all this stuff when you're wasting your time just sulking with other people, bitching about your problems.
Posting pictures of naked women. Like, it's just nothing productive.
Yeah, and I think Instagram specifically is so powerful, right? Because it's giving people a creative outlet. And not only that, you're able to interact with people within that. So for me, I've met a good amount of my closest personal friends and the businesses that I'm fortunate to be aligned with via Instagram.
We met on Instagram.
So, exactly. Right? So like Alpha Brew Coffee, for instance, I work with them pretty much daily. I got in with Ricky through a mutual friend. So got in with Alpha Brew Coffee and then kind of started. I was a customer first. I love their coffee. I'm actually drinking it right now.
Nice.
But so I'm kind of lit up right now. I get fired up and I start ranting about stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so met up with them and then we just started. We hit it off the bat. Like we had similar ideas about stuff, and long story short, it became a really good working relationship and friendship.
I'm excited about that too, because they're going to be coming on the show, I believe, too. And I am excited to get that part of the story from them too, from Ricky. And it's amazing because I met them through you coming on the show, and then we chatted on Instagram.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a really powerful tool. And I've met them, you know, I've been very fortunate to work with them, and I travel with them quite a bit. You know, they make me sleep on random floors, and our last trip we were in northern New Jersey for Asbury Park Summer Games, and I had to sleep on an air mattress in I was actually on like a patio, like an enclosed patio. There's no room in the house. Yeah, I don't mind. You know, it was actually cooler out there. It was pretty nice.
What do they call those things? The woobles or whoopies or whatever? You should have brought one of those.
Oh, whoopies?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even have one. But yeah, like, that's all because of Instagram, right? Like, actually, one of my best friend from the military, I met on social media before we shipped to basic. And then we were in the same flight in basic and the same team in selection. Right? And,
wow.
I mean, we're 7 years later, we're best friends. So I do believe that social media is a powerful tool if it's used properly.
I believe it too. I think that is, and it's hard when you're on social media because you're instantly hit with a lot of the negative. I think that's honestly why I prefer Instagram more, because you'll see a lot of negative on Instagram, but if you follow certain things, you can get away from it a lot easier than you could, say, Facebook or something. But one of the things that I would encourage anybody listening, if you don't know what you want to do, there are so many people on Instagram, on Facebook, there's so many people out there who, if you just message them and you were just honest about what's going on, and you look into them and that they might be a veteran, they might have been in the same branch as you or something, you see that they're doing things that you might like or that you might be interested in. Those are the people you need to start trying to fill your circle with. Those are the people that, if you're only surrounded by people who all they care about are things that just aren't relevant to you and your success, they don't have any drive to move forward, they don't have any positive vibes going on all the time, and you're trying to get a new path, you're trying to start your life, you need to start trying to close your circle in with those types of people that you see wanting to help. And it's out there, you just have to look, you have to want it bad enough, just like anything else. Let's get into, you were in Canada, you were traveling, that wasn't with Alpha Brew Coffee, that was for Nova 3 Labs, is that correct?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I was up there for 6 days with Nova 3 Labs. It was awesome.
And so all these brands and things, what you primarily do for them is you're the one making all of their marketing videos, you're the one doing all of their filming, is that correct?
It depends.
Oh, really?
So, with Nova, I'm actually an athlete. I got signed as an athlete with them a few years ago. And then once I started doing a lot of the media stuff, it just kind of organically progressed into that.
Okay, got you. And so because I know you're into CrossFit, I consider you to be an athlete. I know you've competed. What came first to get you into the sort of their world? Was it the athletics? Was it the competing? And then they kind of figured out you had a gift for photography, or how did that go?
So my start with them was kind of weird. I actually started taking one of their products when I was dealing with like adrenal dysfunction and low testosterone levels, because I was working ridiculous shifts while I was in. Like you said in the beginning, I was a medic. I was constantly doing shift work, so I was at a point where I was working 24-hour shifts, doing EMS, and I was trying to train pretty heavily, and I was just running myself into the ground. And I had some labs drawn, and I was not in a good place. So I had to really dial back and figure out what would work. And a friend of mine recommended their product, Max Adrenal, which is like an adrenal support product. And I started buying it. And then I met them at a huge competition in Miami called Wadapalooza. And we just kind of hit it off. And I was like, hey, can I write a blog for you guys about this? Like, I think it would be really beneficial to military, first responders, whoever. And it just kind of progressed from there. And then Chrissy was like, hey, do you want to be an athlete? And it's just kind of been with them for 3 years now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I read that blog when we first met. It was a really good blog. You're actually a really good blogger, I think. I enjoyed reading. I read the article too about you. You've had 2 saves in your time in the military, and I read about that as well. Which thank you for that. That's incredible. I'm sure everybody would be proud of you for that one. So
I appreciate that, man.
What got you into CrossFit? I mean, have you always been physically active? Was CrossFit something that got you to where you are now? I mean, how has that impacted your life?
Yes, I got into training late in my junior year of high school, because I was like 115 or 120 pounds. I'll send you the picture offline. But
Okay.
So I got into training because I was just a small, scrawny kid, and I knew I wanted to go in the military. I didn't know what exactly my plan was, and so I got into training, and then I stumbled upon CrossFit while I was actually living in Israel. So I did my first workout out there at their first gym, and there was deadlifts and double unders. And I couldn't do double unders. I still remember the day. It was actually 7 or 8 years ago to this month. But got into it through, hey, I want to get ready for the military. This program looks like it'll work really well. And it kind of progressed from there. I didn't really do CrossFit as a sport until 2013, 2014. Yeah, so I got into it, and then a local gym owner who's also a veteran here in Philly when I got back to Philly, Terrence Fettingham, he actually works with Travis Manion Foundation and does some really cool stuff. he let me basically clean his gym and just help out any way I could in exchange for a gym membership.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was able to train there and get ready for selection and stuff. So it was really cool.
The competing looks really, really, not only does it look intense, but it looks really fun. It does look really competitive. I know I just watched a recent video of you throwing up, I don't know how much weight, but, just the reaction of, you dropping the bar and then yelling at the guy to go next after you. It was pretty intense. But I'm so tall and scrawny. I have these long arms and long legs, chicken legs, and just some of the stuff you do, I feel like I'd break in half if I tried to lift it or, contort my body the way you guys do.
You just gotta get started, man. Find a good gym.
Well, I mean, I like to work out and stuff. Just I like to stay in shape because I'm so big on it being helpful to one's mental stability and success in general. So, I mean, I like to run and I do go to just a normal gym, but I don't know. I just never looked into CrossFit that big. But I love knowing people that are into it because I just know that it's going to take me that much closer to trying it eventually. So
yeah, I mean, I've loved CrossFit, especially since I was in the military, right? It really kind of resonated with me, the community aspect, stuff like that. Like when I was stationed in Germany, I coached at a military affiliate. I basically volunteered my time there, and I mean, the bond that I had with those people was phenomenal, even more so than I had friends in my unit, but I didn't really hang out with those friends because a lot of them would just drink and, do whatever. And my crew from Launch School CrossFit, where I coached, was just phenomenal. And it definitely, with the type of work I was doing in Germany, it was definitely kind of I hate to use the word, but it was kind of a quote-unquote safe space, right?
Right.
I was able to go relax and kind of get my head off of work.
Yeah.
Because my schedule out there was nuts. And yeah, I mean, we had a good time. We would travel to competitions, met some of my really good friends out there. Actually, you should probably get him on the show. Ronnie Bass. He would be an awesome guest.
Ronnie Bass?
But yeah, I'll link you up with him after the show for sure. But yeah, I mean, we're in touch to this day. I actually talked to him earlier today. We took trips to Belgium together. All kinds of stuff. And
that's awesome.
A big part of that. Yeah, I wouldn't have met those people if it wasn't for CrossFit,
That's funny you mentioned Belgium.
Just been another sergeant.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, they would have been just another NCO or another officer or whoever that, I just saw and said, hey, what's up to, or whatever on a daily basis. But no, instead we became, really good friends.
I actually had a 2-year NATO mission from Branch when I was stationed at Fort Stewart. And I wanted to go so bad because I just heard so many wonderful things about that area, and I was fenced in at Fort Stewart. Yeah, that's another whole story, but yeah, I couldn't go, and I was so disappointed. So that's neat that you got to go and experience that, and I think it's crucial to point out, like you said, you went and sort of separated yourself with something that was different. I'm sure it might have been uncomfortable at first, getting used to just that routine. You said all your peers were, doing the typical, partying, drinking in the barracks, doing whatever on the weekends, really just living their life as soldiers. And I think that's pivotal. And look at where CrossFit is in your life now, and just look at the friends and the relationships you've made just by making that one choice to start going there versus just being your average self, while in Europe. And I think that's what a lot of us tend to forget, is just how wonderful life really can be if you go after it, if you let it be. And so I'm really inspired by your story, man. I want to basically just ask you what your tips are. I mean, do you have a very strict routine in the mornings? What do you kind of do to prep yourself for success every day? What do you listen to podcasts? Do you read books? What is your strategy for success each day?
Yeah, so right now it's a little bit different. My schedule's been kind of thrown off because I've had so much editing to do, and I'm still trying to get back into training. I had surgery 5 months ago now.
Yeah, and you're already still back.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, I try to have I have somewhat of a schedule with my mornings to where I know I'm going to do the same things. It gets structured differently.
Right.
So it kind of changes around a bit.
What would you just say for the basics, though? I mean, for just anybody that...
Yeah, so
might need help, like just figuring out where to start if they're down.
This is my all-inclusive morning, and some people are going to probably listen to this and be like, this guy's full of shit. So I wake up, and I try to, if I can, move around for like 5 minutes, whether it's like some type of just movement flow, just kind of move. Like, I have a bad knee, and I just typically when I wake up, I just feel broken.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
So I just wake up. Yeah, exactly. So I wake up and just move around. I go downstairs. I have 2 dogs that I always like to make sure that they've eaten before I eat. So
right,
I'll take care of them, just kind of say what's up to them, and then I'll make every morning I have water with lemon and Himalayan pink salt. And reason being, well, lemon, obviously, vitamin C and just some micronutrients. But the Himalayan pink salt is kind of an electrolyte type. Salts are actually good for people. They don't realize it, but yeah, salt's good. So every morning I have that. I basically drink 12 to 16 ounces of water right off the bat because I'm really bad about drinking water throughout the day. So I just tend to be really dehydrated by the end of the day, and I drink a ton of coffee. So I have that. And then kind of get my breakfast going. While breakfast is going and I make my coffee, I'll usually have some type of vlog on. Like, I watch a lot of, like, Casey Neistat or Peter McKinnon or whatever.
Nice.
If not, I'll listen to a podcast. So, lately, I'm not the biggest Gary, like, I like Gary Vaynerchuk stuff a lot. I wouldn't call myself, like, Gary Vaynerchuk nerd.
Yeah.
But his podcasts are pretty spot on. And I like shorter podcasts.
Yeah.
I can't focus on a podcast for, like, 2 hours. I can't.
Right.
So I like those shorter, like 15-minute things. Like Andy Frisella, MF CEO. He has a few.
I love that dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. So like 11 to 20 minutes, like I'm in. I can make my breakfast and then boom, have breakfast and kind of get going. From there, like I'll try to read typically like 2 pages of a book a morning. Like right now, I'm still working my way through Tribe of Mentors by Tim Ferriss.
Oh, nice. I need to read that still.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I have that one, and then I also have Tools of Titan, a friend of mine, Sasha, gave me. So I still have to read that one, and I have a whole backlog of books right now. But yeah, so that'll typically be like my start to the day. I'll try to write down like 3 things I need to accomplish for the day, or I'll either write 3 things I need to accomplish, or I'll write down some type of gratitude, depending on how I feel in the morning. If I wake up and I feel like shit, I'm going to wake up and try to write things I'm thankful for, because really that'll help me actually appreciate the day more than waking up and being like, shit, I have to do this, whatever.
Yeah, letting it stress you out.
Yeah, and then after all that, I meditate for 10 minutes, like every day. That never changes. I have to meditate like at least once a day because I get really stressed out.
If anybody listening doesn't even know how to meditate, I can give you a really simple tip. If you have Spotify or YouTube, you can just search simple meditations that will play audio, and you can just put in earphones, close your eyes, lay in your bed. You don't have to know how to do all these crazy yoga poses. I mean, it can be as simple as just turning on a meditation audio and just letting your mind relax, because that's what I do. I'll do that before bed, and I also put on, there's like positive affirmations that you can play while you're actually sleeping that go for like an hour or 2. And so I do a lot of that too as I'm falling asleep. But that's amazing. I am very excited to start blogging. Everybody that's listening, look for blogs for all of these things we talked about. I'm going to blog about all of your sponsors. We're going to have show notes put out. But we are coming up right at we're about 42 minutes in. But I want to just leave the floor to you if you have any last comments or, anything you want to put out for the show. And maybe like if there's a quote you live by or anything. So I'll leave the floor to you, and then we'll get out of here.
I appreciate, having me on here. It's been awesome.
No problem.
One of my biggest things, especially with coming on here, every veteran, and really just every person, I'm not even going to limit this to veterans. We all have a different story. We all need to be understanding of other people. At the same time, make sure we're kind of living by our own morals and realizing that our mindsets and our viewpoints on the world will shift as we grow and as we age. And we have to be understanding of those people, right? Like, I can't sit there and get pissed off because someone doesn't understand where I'm coming from. And as a veteran especially, people need to realize, first off, we eat our own, and we do it constantly. Like, I constantly see veterans bickering. Like, we really need to cut that shit out because it makes us look like idiots, you know.
And nobody wants to help somebody who's being mean or rude or ignorant in a situation either. So if you want help, it's not the way to act.
And additionally, no one owes us shit. Like, we volunteered. If you were not in Vietnam, you are not a Vietnam era. If you are not a Vietnam era veteran, no one owes you shit because you went to that recruiting station and you enlisted, commissioned, whatever. So people need to get that out of their minds. We're not owed anything. You need to go out there and get it every day. You need to align yourself with cool people with good values. I'm very fortunate to have, like you said, a good support network, whether it's the brands I work with, my personal friends, or even like some of my clients. You know, shout out to Angelo. He goes by Alpha Hippie. He's one of my clients, and he's opened a whole new world of just kind of possibilities to me just by seeing what he does on a daily basis with his podcast and with his businesses, right? So
that's incredible.
Align yourself with good people, you know, and just try and realize life offers you opportunities. Jump on them. Don't sit there and wonder. Don't sit there and hate on someone that's doing something cool on social media. Don't, you know, if someone's living their life by a social media highlight reel, whatever, don't hate on that. Right? Like, I personally put both the good and the bad on my social media stuff. That's just how I operate. I don't hide anything from anyone. You know, you want to know something, hit me up and ask me. I don't care. But, you know, try and just live by those values and just realize that, expand your mind and don't be stuck in a mindset. Don't be stuck in some type of, especially with like politics and stuff like that. You know, open your minds, especially as veterans. Because at the end of the day, we are the future. I don't care what anyone says. Like, in a few years, OIF and OEF veterans are going to be running this country. Guys that were downrange, and I myself haven't deployed, but I worked on folks that have, and whether they deployed, whether they, you know, we didn't, whatever, we're still going to run this country. We're going to have people sitting in leadership positions at corporations, you know, in public office, whatever, and we need to set the standard.
Veteran-owned businesses, I think we're like 7% of all businesses are owned by veterans or something like that. It's a pretty large number. I hope to see it increase over the next 10 years. I know that World War II veterans came out of World War II and 50% of them became entrepreneurs. So I know the number's a lot lower than it used to be, but that's what one of my goals is to pick this community up, dust us off, get us rolling like we know how to roll. Just because we're not in the military anymore doesn't mean we don't have a duty. Still to this day, we have a civilian squad to take care of, and we need to tighten our shot groups.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
You know, and not everyone has to be an entrepreneur.
No.
If you get out and you're a veteran and you're like, what am I going to do? Should I be an entrepreneur or should I, you know, do whatever?
No, I'm not saying you have to be an entrepreneur. More people growing and succeeding at whatever they do, basically, is where I was. Yeah.
You know, I'm hopeful that they're like, I'm seeing some of these new era politicians coming into play, and I'm very optimistic about it. Right? And not to get into politics because I hate politics, but I'm optimistic that it will hopefully lead to kind of a better future for the country and for the world, right?
Right.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, we look at like all the people that are sitting in office right now, and even like our last election, it's like how in a country of billions of people did we come to this? Right?
Right. I know. There's a lot of chaos.
And I hate seeing that. I hate seeing our country kind of in shambles, and I hate seeing so much division among us, especially when we still have people downrange, you know, fighting wars, and people don't even realize that. So I'm hopeful for the future, though.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful that you're putting out this podcast and you're trying to get a message out, especially to our community, being veterans.
I want everybody that wants their voice heard to be heard, and I think that when we start showing other folks that we are here, we do have people's backs, you just got to find us, we'll find you. I mean, the world's big, but I want everybody to see that light that you're talking about at the end of the tunnel, where, you know, every day isn't just a constant sad world that they're living in, basically. And yeah, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this morning. It's Sunday morning. Pretty much made my day, brother, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. And I look forward to...
I really appreciate it.
I look forward to the future. I know this show's just taking off, but I know that you and I are going to stay close. We're going to stay connected. We're on opposite coasts, but it does not matter anymore thanks to the power of technology. And I have a lot of stuff going on with my security company out in the east side anyway, so chances are we'll run into each other, hopefully. Thank you again for coming on. And everybody that's listening, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the second episode of the Veteran Growth Podcast. We'll see you later.
Is that bad?